Now, retirement planning, life is a cycle, right? And Ecclesiastes explains it very well. It tells us that there's a time and a season for everything under heaven. And it goes further to itemize those things. It says a time to plant, a time to pluck up, just picking out a few, a time to break down, a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance. In fact, I was thinking about it today and I began to say, I thought weeping and mourning, were synonymous, but there is some difference. But tonight, you'll begin to see what season you are in, and you will choose to listen or to hear what needs to be done. You will get an opportunity to look in your life and make some decisions, or choose not to do it as well. Now, retirement takes planning. The time between birth and death, we grow up, we get an education or a skill, we work, we consider family and marriage and some things between that. We mature, we get old, and in between, we may travel, but we eventually stop working and we retire. And this is the ideal. Now, we know that life happens, so we may reach it or not, but this is the ideal. Retirement requires planning. If you were seeing the presentation I had, I'd have where you're born and just a line identified as young adults, pre-retiree, and retiree. That's the stage. Between each cycle, between birth and young adults, you really have no major responsibility. Between young adult and adult, which runs from about 20, let's say, to about 30, you're thinking about life. You want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, you want to get a further education, you want to accomplish a couple of things. When you get to pre-retirement now, hopefully you would have accomplished all the things that you wanted to accomplish, or you're on the tail end of it. And you're preparing and focusing on, hey, when I retire, what do I do? What's gonna happen next? But there's a challenge. We live in an economy that is impacted by two things primarily, and those things that challenge us, those things that we face, are critical things that impact our spending power. The two things are devaluation and inflation. Devaluation is the reduction of the official value of a currency in relation to other currencies. It will take more of your currency, of our currency, to purchase imports. That's the bottom line of it. And inflation is a general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing power of your money. So how do the two relate? Think of this. Think back to a time, think back to a time, let's say in the 1990s, when the value of the Jamaican dollar to the US dollar was $12.22. How much was your grocery bill in the 1990s? How much did you spend per month on your grocery for the month? Now think to 2023. The value of the Jamaican dollar to one US dollar is $155 and some cents. You might get it cheaper or more expensive dependent on where you trade. What now can you buy for $5,000? If you think about it, what could you have bought in 2020 for $5,000? Could you buy the very same things? I want to posit that no, you could buy more things, or some things that you could buy in 2020 for valued at $5,000 or accumulated to $5,000. You can't buy the very same thing for that amount of money. No. A pension, which is what we're going to be focusing on, is money that you hope to get. It's an income that you are receiving when you are no longer working. So pension is like your paycheck, but you are no longer working. So it's something that you have to send ahead of you, right? It's something you have to prepare, you have to put down ahead of you. No. Think about what you earn now per month. Can you live off that amount of money in 10 or 20 years? If the answer is yes, then you have an absolutely fabulous job or skill or earning. If the answer is no, then there are some things that you want to do. So what do? How do you prepare for retirement given these two factors, the devaluation, the inflation? I think I only have 2 or 3 that I want to suggest. The very first one, if you're currently working and you're with a company that offers a retirement plan, a pension plan, get on it. Participate in it, because you get up to 20% tax-free on your income. So 20% of what you earn and commit to pension, if you commit, 20% is not taxed. And you can benefit now with that tax break, that tax benefit. We're gonna go further into that discussion, but my encouragement, if you are working with a company that offers this plan, get on it. If you are not working with a company who offers that plan, or you're doing your own thing, you're self-employed, so you're not you wouldn't be participating in a pension plan with a company. There are some institutions that now offer the pension plan, and there are some that offer it to those who are salaried employed, and there are others who offer it not exclusively, but they offer it to persons who are self-employed or contractually employed or have a money every now and again. So I would encourage you to log on to get some information from those companies to see how you can secure your money. At the age of 25, I did a calculation, right, of various ages and the number of years you had to retirement. Starting at 25, I'll tell you and pick out only a few. At 25, you're in the young adult area. Young people don't think about pension. One of the beautiful things about being 25 and that young is, one, you think you live forever, and that pensionable age and old age is not coming to you anytime soon. And so the focus is not on pension planning. In fact, you think you can do something else with the money. If you're 25, if there's anybody in this audience who's 25, you have 40 years. I'm using 65 as a year for retirement. 40 years to retire. If you save $15,000 per month, which is just about 10% of if you earn, say, $2 million per year. Your future value, and this is without accumulation, this is without compound interest and without interest. So it's just straight what you have put down. You would have accumulated $7.2 million. If at that age you contribute, you save $30,000 per month, then you would double that amount to $14.4 million. Now, 14.4 might sound like, whoa, a hard task to get to. But when you think about how much money it will cost you to survive monthly, then that is not a lot of money. Let's go down a little bit. I was told that some are in retirement, some are preparing. So I'm gonna jump to 45. If you're 45 years old with 20 years to retire and you save $30,000, you would accumulate 7.2 million, which is the same as the 25-year-old if they did $15,000. The difference is you are saving twice as much as they are saving. You have less time. You have 15 years less to save that amount of money, but you get $7.2 million. If you're 55 years old, 10 years to retirement, and save $30,000, you would only have accumulated. Now, remember, I told you this does not include the interest that you would earn on the money over the period of time. It does not include the compounding effect. So it's just the straight cash that you put down. You would have accumulated $3.6 million. What's the thing to note in all of this? That one, when you're younger, you have more time. And so if you save less, you still can reach a desired goal because of the time that you have. The older you are, it means you're going to have to pump more money into this kind of saving in order to get a reasonable amount of what you would want at a future state. My recommendation is to start now. And remember, I told you, if you're part of a company that offers a pension plan, become involved. If you work but don't, you're not with a company that offers a plan, or you are self-employed and so you would not be able to benefit from that, there are institutions that offer a pension plan. Find out, speak to a registered pension advisor and begin to think about it. The advice is to start now. It's to save as much as you can. If you're with a company, save as much in the voluntary contribution as the company will allow. For those who may not be familiar, there's the amount. If you work with a company, there's the amount the company pays. There's the amount that you pay. And you're also allowed a voluntary amount. Whatever the maximum is that the company will allow for the voluntary amount, if your situation allows it, I recommend that you get involved. And as your income increases, your contribution to your pension should also increase. That's a recommendation that I will give. The second consideration for pension planning is consider passive income. When you get to retirement, you do not want to be working the same way you were working years before. You want your income to be coming to you from the investments that you have made that's making money for you. So it's making money for you without you having to sweat. It's making money for you without you having to wake up early in the morning. It's making money for you without you having to get high blood pressure because you're working with a set of people who do not share your drive or your passion. And so an investment in a personal business. So if you have a business, you invest some money in it, it's giving some money to you. Now, it may not be your business. It could be a family business. It could be the business of a friend. It could be the business of an associate. And it could, well, family, children would fall under family. But you could invest in that business, and that business is turning over and you're receiving an income. In this suggestion, it's not that you will sleep late and do nothing, because then you would need to be watching your money. Then you would need to be getting updates from these business owners so that you can be comfortable that the income will continue to attract to you. The other one is investment in property. Investment in property would require for you to be selective about the properties that you get involved in. You can think of long-term rentals, so it can be a commercial property that you rent, a store, or commercial property. It could be a private property, like a home that you could have long-term rental, so somebody rents the house continually for them to live with their families, or short-term rental, Airbnb, or it's in an area that's it's just resort rental type. But one of the things about this passive income, yes, you will get some money. Yes, it's gonna require you to make some investment. Yes, it's gonna require that you upkeep the property and you market the property in a way that will attract the best clients. But it will require of you also to pay attention to where this property is, what's happening. If it is in a place that is changing, and the change suggests that, hey, you may not be able to attract the kind of rental that you want. If the area is changing where it becomes more difficult for you to collect your rent, then at that point in time, you want to make some decisions. It may mean that you would need to divest. It may mean that you would need to sell and recoup your equity in the property, and you could just, forget about that property, forget about earning from that situation, sell it, hold on to the money, or you could take the funds and invest it in another property. So those are the key things. Get involved in a pension plan if you are able to. If your company offers it. If you don't work with a company that offers it, then get involved with a pension plan that will begin to look at your life, your situation, and have you put some money down, because annuity, the benefit of annuity is that you're continually earning. And when you get to pension, for those who are there and benefiting from it, your pension comes to you for life, um, for the rest of your useful life. And if anything happens, if there's money left, if anything happens to you, then it will go to your beneficiary. But when you are a part of a pension plan, you are part of a pool. So it's not only your money, it's the money of everybody in the pool that is being accumulated on, that you are benefiting on. If we move further on, just a recap. So you have the pension plan that you can be involved in, and you want to be earning passive income, income coming to you without you having to do strenuous work. And I shared with you that it can be investment in a business, a personal business that's owned by you, or business of family or friends or associates, or investment in property. But all of it requires that you still keep your eye on what's happening. As you pursue retirement, though, there are some other things to consider. Sometimes we're so busy working towards retirement that we almost forget to live. And so we're always putting money down for a rainy day, always um, trying to accumulate because, hey, you want to leave something for the children or grandchildren, or dependent on your situation. But there are some other things that I want to suggest um, in planning for retirement. A lot of times, persons are so used to getting up each day and going that when they are forced not to do it, they have no idea what they're going to do with themselves. They're just going crazy. I want to suggest that built into, and this is in retirement, in the preparation for retirement, that you consider spa and personal care treats. Now, it can go very fancy, where you can go for massages, or it can be simply men going to the barber and get groomed, women going to the salon and getting a hairstyle. You choose based on it, but I want to suggest that as you get older, there are some illnesses that come upon you. You may have it throughout your life, but you can almost expect that there are some illnesses that will come up. There are some non-communicable diseases, diabetes, hypertension, and the likes of that. And all of those are lifestyle diseases. And so I want to suggest eating healthy. Begin to eat healthy. In retirement, continue to eat healthy. I want to suggest rest. I want to suggest exercise. I want to strongly suggest what you're having: fellowship. Fellowship with friends, fellowship with your church members, fellowship with family members, because there's so much as a retiree that you have, that you now know, that you can pass on to the young and the not so young in growing. And I want to suggest that you take up the hobby that you had, that perhaps you were still doing, or perhaps you stopped doing. So if you have a hobby, gardening, fishing, swimming, sewing, mentoring, whatever your hobby is, then I would suggest that that's something that you pay attention to. In planning for retirement, I'm not into the insurance industry, so you don't have to worry. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but you will be going to, you may be going to the doctor and medical facilities often. Health insurance is a nice thing. Consider health insurance. Consider critical illness insurance as well, because a critical illness can come upon you, whether you're young or old, it can. I want to suggest, generally, we think we want, when we die, that we have a decent funeral. So we want to consider what's called a family insurance plan. There's a family indemnity plan that I know about very well, offered by the credit union. It's offered by other companies as well with different terms. But at death, then your loved ones will not be left with the burden. They would get some money for burial. And I also want to suggest that you consider, and not only consider, but that you do effect a will. If you have property and you intend for it to be passed on to a loved one, write it down, make a will. Don't allow your family members to fight over things, because generally, if you leave property and the property is not actioned on, then it really belongs to nobody and can be taken by the government, or some smart aleck might, by adverse possession, come to own what you intended to pass on to your children and their family members. So prepare a will, leave a will. A will is not a difficult thing. In fact, you can go to Woolworth and buy a sheet of paper for a will and write what you need to do and get it appropriately signed. Most police stations attract a JP. There's a JP around that could give you advice as to what to do. But the most important thing is that as you prepare for retirement, it requires, not prepare, as you look to consider retirement, it requires some planning. It requires that you take stock of how much you earn, what you would want to be earning at that point in time, and make some plans towards it. It does not happen unless you are really, 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 really wealthy. And so you don't have to do anything. You have money. You can just live and live well. But if you want to live well in your golden years, it is something that must be planned for.